Greetings, family. This is Leah, Salmon, the Naturally You coach, best-selling author, speaker, nutritionist, and life coach, on a mission to help 100,000 Black women to eat for health, think for happiness, and live in harmony by 2020, especially with their womb health, pregnancy health, and premature birth prevention. And eating for health, thinking for happiness, and living in harmony is what I call becoming naturally you. Thank you so much for joining me today on Instagram and on Facebook, whether you are here live or watching the replay. Thank you so much for joining me. So today, greetings everyone, lovely people coming in on Instagram. So today I wanted to just quickly share a message with you, and it's a message that I kind of wish a lot more people, whether they're in orthodox medicine or holistic medicine, kind of applied when they're working with clients, and that we kind of got into the habit of applying to ourselves, because it's not just to do with health, it's to do with just our life in general. And that's the concept of being more focused on winning the war than fighting the battles, because winning feels much better than fighting generally. And it can be really easy to kind of get into the habit of, or get into the pattern of just continually putting out fires with your health as opposed to winning the war. So I've been doing a lot of research recently in live blood analysis, and as part of the work that I do now with the Naturally You Clinic, I do live blood analysis as well as the holistic nutrition. And it's a concept that I've literally just been reading about, and it's something that I learned about a while ago, and that a lot of holistic practitioners, whether you're a nutritionist or aromatherapist or you are into herbal medicine, it's something that a lot of us kind of are commonly trying to do when we're working with our clients. And it's one of the things that kind of differentiates holistic practitioners from the orthodox medical community. But if we can get the orthodox medical community to take this on to some degree, or again, if we just take back control of our own health and we focus more on this, we're going to have so much more success. And that is, again, it's focusing on winning the wars with our health as opposed to fighting the battles. And when I'm talking about winning the wars, I'm talking about getting to the cause of what's causing your health challenges as opposed to just continually dealing with the symptoms. Now, as with most things, the way that we approach looking after our health is based on the advice that we're given. And unfortunately, some of the advice that we're given is outdated, or greetings, Shabina. It's outdated, and new science, new technology, new research has made it very clear that some of the advice that we were given was just wrong. Unfortunately, some of the information that we've been given for a very long time has always been known to be lacking in credibility, but it was just given the most promotion by whoever was making the money behind it. But that's another story. So in the 19th century, there was a microbiologist called Louis Pasteur. I remember learning about him from the greetings, Rachel, greetings, investigator. I remember learning about Louis Pasteur from the only science teacher that I liked when I was in secondary school. He was just the only. I used to always get like A plus. Maybe that's why he was my favorite science teacher. But anyway, I really found his classes engaging because he would teach through stories. But yeah, anyway, so he told us the whole life story of this microbiologist called Louis Pasteur. And Louis Pasteur is the microbiologist that came up with the germ theory. So microscopes had just been developed or created or invented about a century beforehand by another scientist. And Louis Pasteur was using them in his work as a microbiologist. And he became very intrigued by germs and bacteria. And he is the one that established the germ theory. So the germ theory is basically that every illness, every contagious disease is caused by germs. And I think he even postulated that there's one germ per disease or something like that. And he was very flamboyant, he was a very good speaker, he was a very good orator, so he was able to really push that theory. So the Orthodox medical community kind of still holds on to that theory, and a lot of people still hold on to that theory that germs are the main cause of all disease. If a germ is present, then it was going to cause a disease. So the medical community, and again, most of us feel that the way that you get rid of disease is to either kill or burn or cut out the germ or the germ-ridden part of your body that is causing the disease, and then the disease will go. This has obviously been proven to be incorrect because in all of our lives, we know someone who has smoked for years and never developed cancer. We know someone who drinks alcohol like a fish and their liver is currently still intact. We know people who have had cancer and the cancer's been removed. It's been killed, it's been burned, it's been cut out, but cancer comes back. We know women who have had fibroids. Those fibroids have been either partially removed, the whole thing has been removed. Some women have had a full hysterectomy. Sometimes the ovaries are left behind, the bottom part of the womb is there, and tumours still grow back. And sometimes when it's only the fibroid that's removed, the fibroids still grow back, even if they haven't had a full hysterectomy. So it doesn't quite make sense that if the germ causes all diseases, that if you cut them out or you burn them or you kill them and there's no evidence of them being alive after your course of treatment, that they grow back. It doesn't make sense. But unfortunately, that's one of the main premises behind the treatment that we get, which is why when you go to the doctors, when you want to help yourself out, if you're in pain, you deal with the fire, you deal with the symptom, you get rid of the pain with a painkiller, but that's not going to stop the cause of the pain. When you go to the doctors, you've got a bacterial infection or something that they think could be related to a bacterial infection, you get antibiotics. I met someone on the weekend who's been on antibiotics for 3 months. Stuff still keeps on coming back. Now, what we've found to be more the case is that when the internal environment is balanced, or at least in harmony, so nutritionally, pH is more imbalanced, you're not dehydrated, there's no dysbiosis, which is the balance of friendly and unfriendly bacteria in your bowel. You're not dehydrated, you've got rest, you're not overly stressed, you're nutritionally balanced. When you've got an internal environment that's balanced, microorganisms stay non-pathogenic. They stay in their non-disease forming state. And that just became more and more clear with the more evidence and research and anecdotes that became so clear that when there is nutritional balance, when there's pH balance, when there's hydration, when there's stress relief, when there's a good balance between your friendly and unfriendly bacteria, that you can be exposed to bacteria, you can be exposed to germs, you can be a prime candidate for a lot of symptoms to pop up, but it doesn't happen. And that's why on his deathbed, Louis Pasteur recanted that statement and recanted the gene theory. And he actually said, according to notes, because I wasn't there, but he actually then turned around and said that the microbe is nothing and the terrain is everything. So where the microbe has inhabited, that environment is more important than the presence of the microbe itself. And so it's the environment that we need to be more focused on as opposed to just looking at the symptom. So when you are nutritionally balanced, when you've got a balance in your pH, when you're hydrated, when you've got stress management, when you're eating correctly, when you've got enough fiber, when you're passing stools on a regular basis, when you're doing all of these things, the microbes can be there, but they're not going to become pathogenic. They're not going to turn into their disease-forming state, because most microbes, most bacteria and funguses and viruses, most of those things are opportunistic. You give them the opportunity they're like children. You give them the opportunity to act up, they're going to act up. And if you don't give them the opportunity to act up, and even if they have overgrown and they have become pathogenetic, and they have started to create disease states in you, there's always the opportunity and there's always the possibility that if you start focusing on the terrain, you start focusing in your internal environment, that you can't get rid of the symptom, which is to kill them using antifungals, antibacterials, antivirals, all these kind of things. And if you do that at the same time as balancing and nourishing and harmonizing your internal environment, they won't come back. But if you only focus on getting rid of the symptom, if you only focus on taking painkillers when you've got period pains, the period pains are going to come back because we haven't worked out what's causing the period pains. We haven't worked out what the internal environment is that's allowing the muscle contractions to be so strong and to be so painful and for the hormone imbalances to exist. All we're doing is getting rid of that symptom, so it's going to keep on coming back. And it's the same with taking steroids when you've got skin conditions, or antibiotics when you've got any kind of bacterial condition happening. Even when you take insulin for diabetes, or beta blockers when you've got heart conditions, or anti-cholesterol drugs when you've got high cholesterol, all you're doing is putting out the little fires. And that's why it's big business to have people on maintenance doses of medications. It's big business to focus on the symptoms, because the symptoms make money, because you can sell a lot of drugs from just helping someone to continually get rid of their symptoms, as opposed to helping them to deal with the cause of it. And when you deal with the cause of it, you're not continually putting out the fires. You're not continually winning little battles. And things like your menstrual cycle, when you do have pain for those week or 2 weeks sometimes, the other 2 weeks we kind of forget about it. And then again, we're back to the same cycle once our cycle started again, or the week before your cycle, and then during your cycle, you're putting out these fires and it feels like little wins, but it can become exhausting. Like if you keep a period journal or a menstrual journal, or whatever condition you have that comes back periodically, if you keep a journal of this, the symptoms that you're getting and how often you're getting them and how severe they are, if you look back at it over a few months, some people realize that they literally spend half of their life in pain. They spend half of their life trying to get out of social engagements because they don't know how heavy they're going to be bleeding. They don't know whether their skin condition is going to flare up. They don't know whether their body odor is going to be too strong on that day. They just have no idea what's going to be happening with them. So it affects their life, it affects their productivity, it affects their business if they're starting business, it can affect their relationships, all because they're focusing on just putting out the fires when the fires are there, as opposed to, and just fighting the little battles, as opposed to spending some time on winning the war. Now, I do believe that pain is a great motivator. So when you take away somebody's pain, they kind of forget about it until the pain comes back. But pain is a great motivator. And if you do forsake, for the short term, taking the painkillers that are getting rid of the symptoms that you're having, and more focusing on getting your diet straight, getting your hydration straight, making sure you're exercising, making sure you're adding some movement to your life on a daily basis, take that long to kick in. And again, you can also do them in conjunction. You can still continue to focus on reducing your symptoms, and you can even do that naturally, as opposed to resorting to the chemical painkillers and those types of things. You can use nutritional supplements and dietary changes and lifestyle changes to manage the symptoms, and also being very focused on making sure that you're balancing your environment as well. And that's where you win the war, because I was putting out the little battles when I had my menstrual problems and I was bleeding between my periods. I would just cover it up, or avoid it, or ignore it, or just pretend that it wasn't there. And I did that for 2 years, and I was 17 years old and I was already exhausted with it. I was already tired. Like, I can't keep on doing this. I just want to get rid of it. I just want to win the war. And when I won the war, it just felt so empowering and motivating. And that's why I just became like that annoying person that would just talk about health all the time. Oh my gosh, have you tried this herb? Have you tried this drink? Have you done this smoothie? Have you had green juices? Oh gosh, they're amazing. Because it was like, finally, this thing that's been basically controlling my life for 2 years, I've finally been able to win it. And not only is it like motivating and all those kind of things, it's energizing as well. And unfortunately, a lot of the conditions that we're dealing with, they're either physically depleting our energy, or they're emotionally and mentally depleting our energy. And they can even have an impact on our self-esteem and our self-confidence as well, because if you're continually battling a skin condition or a digestive issue or a menstrual problem, you're continually battling it, it can just have an impact on your self-esteem and your self-confidence. And none of it has to be that way, because Mother Nature is amazing, healthy eating is amazing, hydration is amazing. And with all of those things, if you've got support as well, if you've got someone supporting you through that whole process, then it also just makes it so much easier. So, and again, okay, I'm not telling anyone to stop taking their insulin or to stop taking their painkillers or whatever it is that you've been prescribed by your doctors. That what you've been prescribed and the medications that you're taking is entirely between you and your medical professional. I'm just letting you know, you could be on those things until you die. They do not care. They don't care if you continue on a maintenance dose of every single drug they've had you on until the day you die. They literally don't care. And to be honest, the vast majority of the vast majority of the pharmaceutical drugs that we're taking create other problems as well. Problems that weren't there when you started taking them. And so many people know that elders who've just got like a suitcase, like a shopping bag full of stuff that they're taking. They're taking this for their blood pressure. They're taking this for their skin condition. They're taking this to, stop the bloating and the water retention. They're taking something for their diabetes, something for and it just continues. And they don't care when you start and they don't care when you finished. We have to take our health and our life back into our own hands. And I was literally speaking to a lady about this today that I was on a call with, that the example that we can leave for our children, the example that we can show our children is, yes, it's very possible for us to get sick. It's very possible for us to have medical conditions and be in pain and look tired and have all these symptoms. But it's also very possible to use the healing power of nature to recover from all of them. And when our children see that, we have been able to successfully use nature and healthy eating and herbal remedies and aromatherapy oils and yoga and meditation and all these kind of things to improve our health, that's going to change the mindset of our children to allow them to realize that nature, there is a healing power of nature, and it is possible to heal and cure yourself through nature, and that you don't need to rely on the drugs and the pharmacies and the surgeries, because unfortunately they dishing out surgeries like no one's business. Surgery should be the very last option, not the only resort. And unfortunately we've got women losing wombs, breasts, just too much. There's just too much surgery that's going on. And a lot of it can be, and again, we've got women who are going through these procedures and still don't actually get any relief from the symptoms that they're experiencing. I mean, endometriosis is a very serious condition, and it's a very challenging condition. It's a very painful condition as well. And literally I've heard that, and this is true, I'm not giving them any advice as to what to do once they've had the baby and their periods start again, so the whole thing starts again. And there are literally women who are getting pregnant just to relieve themselves of the pain of endometriosis. That's the world we're living in, family. Not to say that having children isn't beautiful, but let's choose a better reason for having babies than to not have the pain of endometriosis. I worked with a lady not so long ago who had been challenged with endometriosis and the pain of it for 2 years. And after we worked together, I mean, she was really good. Like literally everything that we discussed would be beneficial for her. She literally did it the next day. And she started getting relief in 2 weeks, because we weren't just dealing with the symptoms. We were and in fact, a lot of the things we were doing had nothing to do with her symptoms. It had nothing to do with the pain and the cramp and the heavy bleeding. It was all just nourishing her. It was all just getting the nutrients back in her body, the healthy fats, the proteins, getting the alkalizing foods in there, getting more water in there, getting better sleep. Those are the main things that we were focusing. And unfortunately, as simple as these things sound, sometimes you just need hand holding. You just need some support. You just need some motivation. Diet buddy, someone who's gonna, do a juice cleanse or a juice feast with you at the same time. Those things really work out. And then of course, if you wanted to take it further, actually working with someone who can support you through the process, all of those things work out. I'm talking about Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, however you need to get the support to make the changes. Please go ahead and do it. It's been Leah, Salmon, the Natural You Coach. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to me today, whether you're here live or via the replay. I appreciate your time. Thank you, lovely people on Instagram. Thank you, lovely people on Facebook. If you are interested in booking an appointment with the Natural You Clinic, I'm going to be in London this Sunday the 5th of August. So go to the naturallyyouclinic.com and you can book an appointment with me there. And then I'm in Kettering 2 days a week because I'm normally in London or doing something else 1 day a week as well. But I'm in Kettering on the weekends, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So you can go to the naturallyyouclinic.com and find out more about the clinic and booking an appointment to get some holistic personalized nutrition and live blood analysis. Also, don't forget, we've got the Black Women's Health Day, which is on Sunday the 30th of September. And then we also have 2 other workshops that are happening as well. So we've got raw food for womb health and holistic pregnancy for fertility and birth, which are happening in October the 14th and the 18th. 14th and the 28th. You can find out more about that at thenaturallyyoucoach.com/events. Or if you just join the mailing list, then when more information comes up about those 2 workshops, then you will be the first to know. I look forward to hearing from you and seeing you guys all soon. Take care and stay healthy.